If you love me, please don't judge me. Got my hands tied, the power's above me. Don't shoot the messenger, I'm just a puppet here. If you wanna place blame, then look to the puppeteer. Family, fortune, envy, jealousy, privilege, passed on, legacy, secret, sabotage, borderline, felony, suicide, subtract, selfish, pedigree, yeah.
Yeah, that finish was an absolute fucking shit show. Like, what the fuck was that finish? So, yeah, Indianapolis happened this weekend. But, of course, before we talk about the Cup race today, we have a bunch of other races we gotta talk about from this weekend, too. And sadly, the Penny Series races are not in this recap. We did the recap for the doubleheader from Wednesday night earlier this week. So this is everything else that happened in Indianapolis and IRP this weekend. So let's go ahead and let's talk about what happened this weekend. So starting off, we had the ARCA race at IRP. And well, there was a truck series. They had some truck series regulars in that race. The race was mainly dominated by Chandler Smith. Yeah, truck series goes down to ARCA. Truck series dominates ARCA race. Truck series regular wins ARCA race in dominant fashion. Yeah, Chandler Smith dominated this race from start to finish and won pretty handily, with Sammy Smith finishing second. So yeah, them truck regulars in my dropping down to my ARCA and beating them, taking wins from my ARCA guys again. Oh well. I mean, hey, still most truck series drivers are pretty young dudes, so I guess get some track experience. But yeah, another truck race being dominated by an ARCA, by an Xfinity / Truck Series regular. Again, at least it's not a Cup leech. So now we get to the opening race of the Truck Series Chase at IRP. Yes, end of July, we have the Truck Series already starting their chase at the return of IRP. So this race, it was a bit of a clusterfuck. Like, there was a lot of comers and goers in this race. You had a lot of drivers, a lot of incidents. Like, you had Hocevar and Colby Howard go at it, with Hocevar hooking him straight into the wall, which that is a bit of a Bushweek move, hooking someone straight into the wall. Like, that was 100% intentional dump. You had John Hunter Nemechek wrecking everybody, too. Like, it was chaos throughout this race. But in the end, the race will end up being a battle between Grant Enfinger and Ben Rhodes. And Grant Enfinger, he would go on and hold off Ben Rhodes, and Grant Enfinger gets his first win of the season to open the chase. So Grant Enfinger, after struggling for much of the season, Enfinger gets his first win of the season. And with that win, Grant Enfinger becomes the first driver to punch his ticket to the round of 8. So yeah, my chase bracket's kinda already wrong, because I had Enfinger out in the first round. I mean, do you honestly blame me for that? Because he's been pretty underwhelming throughout much of the season, but Grant Enfinger, he took advantage of the chase reset, and how much of a total crapshoot this format is, and he's been able to regroup and now get a win. And hey, this actually had some traction in one of my predictions this year, because I said Grant Enfinger would have more wins than all of his teammates at GMS combined. He's at 1 win so far. The rest of GMS has 0 wins. So hey, Grant Enfinger gets that win. At least, so yeah, hey, at least Grant Enfinger's finally living up to his fucking potential for once. But yeah, and also shout out to Lane Riggs. As Lane Riggs, the son of Scott Riggs, he gets a top 10 finish, finishing 7th in his first career Truck Series start. So hey, shout out to Lane Riggs. You know, that's pretty impressive. The future is definitely bright for this kid. Hopefully Lane gets more opportunities in NASCAR than his father Scott did. And hopefully Lane can make the most of them, unlike his father Scott. Well, at least on the Cup side. Xfinity and Truck Scott made the most of them. But hey, maybe Lane Riggs can be something one day. Time will tell there. Also for the ARCA race, shout out to Dylan Smith, who finished top 10 in his ARCA debut, so congrats to him there. But yeah, so far RRP has had some great debuts and some great moments so far. Like, easily this truck race showed that NASCAR leaving IRP in the first place was a massive mistake to begin with. Maybe someday we can see Xfinity come back here, or maybe even Cup one day. Maybe not Cup because Roger Penske owns Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Maybe not since Penske owns the Brickyard. But you never know. Time will tell there. But yeah, trucks definitely need to stay at IRP for the long term. Maybe bring an all-star race for Cup Series to IRP one day. Especially with talks about NASCAR wanting to rotate the all-star race to a different track every year. Maybe IRP could be a good option for that. But yeah, the first race of the Truck Series chase is now done. Enfinger's the first driver to move on to the round of 8. And the next Truck Series chase race isn't for a couple weeks until Richmond. And round 1 of the Truck Series chase doesn't end until Kansas in September. Yeah, these schedules are truly fucked up. Now on to the one race that wasn't in the Indianapolis area this weekend, the Modifieds race down at Claremont, New Hampshire. So yeah, this race was dominated by John McKennedy. Despite some late efforts from Ron Silk and Matt Hirschman and others, it just was not enough to beat John McKennedy. And John McKennedy also goes on and he gets his first win in the Modifieds Tour since 2018. So McKennedy ends a near 4-year winless streak in the Modifieds Tour, gets his first win of the season. A win that helps validate himself for the championship race with 6 races left. And Ron Silk looking like he really has a good shot at this Modifieds Championship in the bag. Unless Justin Bonsignor can make a run at it late in the season. But yeah, looking like Ronnie Silk has a good run at this title so far in Modifieds. So yeah, that was actually a pretty good, solid race. And McKennedy finally ends his winless streak. Congrats to him. Now we go to the IndyCar race at Indianapolis. So this race was really a strategy race. Like, much of this race, though, was dominated by Alexander Rossi for much of it. Despite a lot of good efforts from Lundgaard and many others, it just wasn't enough. Like, the only gutter driver that possibly could have done something was maybe Colton Herta until his engine went. And then Rossi just had an easy path to the win because Lundgaard just had nothing to deal with Rossi. And Alex Rossi ends his 3-year winless streak, as Rossi finally gets his first win of the season at Indianapolis, winning on the road course configuration. So Rossi gets his first win since Road America in 2019. So hey, congrats to Alexander Rossi finally getting a win, because he's been on the door. He's been so close the last few years to getting a win, just hasn't been able to seal the deal until now. So yeah, Rossi, could this potentially be his final win with Andretti? Since we all know Rossi's leaving at the end of the year to go to Arrow McLaren in 2023. We'll have to see what happens with Rossi. If this is his last win with Andretti or not. We'll have to see. Time will tell there. As the IndyCar Championship battle is starting to heat up, and Will Power getting the championship lead back over Marcus Ericsson and Newgarden and company. Yeah, this championship is really going down to the wire for IndyCar as we're heading to near the end of the season. Some craziness for sure. Now to the Xfinity race at Indianapolis on the road course. Well, this race had some strategy, a lot of comers and goers. But much of this race was mainly dominated by A.J. Allmendinger. Despite a lot of good efforts from Alex Bowman, who was in this race in the 17 for HMS. It just nobody could stop Allmendinger in this race. Gragson had some incidents early, but Gragson was able to get a stage win and come back to get a solid top 10. Ty Gibbs also having a solid run too to get some points for the Xfinity Series regular season championship. Same deal with Allgaier. Like, the guys we expect to be up front were up front. But A.J. Allmendinger was just a class of the field today. And A.J. Allmendinger gets his 3rd win of the season, winning at Indianapolis. And for AJ, this is also his 9th career road course win on 22 Xfinity road course races, which gives Allmendinger a winning percentage on road courses of 41%. Good God. So literally, finding out if Allmendinger is going to win a road course race or not is literally decided based on the flip of a coin. Damn, I wish life was that simple to be decided on a flip of a coin. But yeah, Allmendinger gets the win. And that's his third win of the season to help him out to get bonus points since Allmendinger's already locked in. So every race from here on out is just a test and tune-up session for the chase. And just to add some bonus points for the chase for the Xfinity Championship. But meanwhile in all this, we will say one thing here. For Austin Hill, he got a top 10 run. And that top 10 run means that Austin Hill is officially locked into the top 20 in points. Which means with how great of a rookie season Austin Hill has had, and maybe a potential announcement to run a few cup races this season in a couple weeks, with that announcement RCR is getting ready to announce by August 2nd, and to look at the picture looking like it's Austin Hill. So whether that is Austin Hill or not in the photo, that is yet to be seen. But for now, Austin Hill, your rookie season Xfinity will be rewarded greatly. As Austin Hill, you have now officially locked yourself into the Xfinity chase into the top 20. So Hill is officially in. So with 6 races left until the Xfinity chase, it's almost looking like we're almost in a position where a win would automatically lock you in. Now, Brandon Jones would mathematically lock himself in the top 20. But there's still that odd chance he could miss the Xfinity chase if we get 13 different winners. But we would need a winner in every single race from here on out. But if we have a repeat winner at Michigan, if we have a driver that's already previously won at Michigan, win next week at Michigan, or a Cup driver, win next week at Michigan, or even hell, a Truck Series regular. If either of those scenarios happen, then Brandon Jones could lock himself in next week automatically. But yeah, it's looking like at this point, a win automatically locks you in now at this point. And we're probably going to have a few drivers making it on points. Still a few wildcard races left. But yeah, the Xfinity chase is really starting to tighten up here. Now on to the Cup race at Indianapolis. And well, this race was actually pretty good despite the ending. We'll get to that in a little bit. Because this race had a lot of comers and goers. It had a lot of different pit strategy that led to a lot of different drivers coming and going to the front. You also had some weird incidents here. Like, you also had a lot of drivers driving like absolute fools in Turn 1. Like, the amount of driving we got in Turn 1, we would never get that on the Indianapolis Oval. No doubt. Because the Oval is just a one-groove racetrack. But yeah, we also had a scary incident involving Kyle Larson and Ty Dillon, where in Turn 1, Larson would lose the brakes and would go full send, full speed straight into Ty Dillon. And yeah, that looked like a pretty bad impact for Ty Dillon. Glad that he was okay, and at least Larson walked over to check on him and see if he was alright. So yeah, that's good sportsmanship from Kyle Larson there. But yeah, honestly, that incident could have gone a whole lot worse. But yeah, it's pretty obvious what happened there. Larson 100% lost the brakes since he was having mechanical issues at that point. It was already a couple laps down, just trying to finish the race. And yeah, that just shit happens, man. And of course, throughout the end, it looked like Reddick was going to cruise away from Chase Elliott. Until at 5 to go, we will get a late race caution for Christopher Bell losing a tire on the front straightaway, which led to a late race caution, bunched the field back up, and on the second last restart, we have the absolute shit show to end this race. We're on the restart deep in the field, because what happened deep in the field with Kate would go all the way into Turn 1, where Chase Elliott looked like he would initially get the position on Reddick, and then at the back, Joey Logano would make a dumbass move to go 5-6 wide into Turn 1. And then chaos happened, because Chase Elliott would spin out off contact from Blaney, and then take William Byron out, and then Bubba Wallace would go in the grass, and then Briscoe and Kyle Busch spin out as well. Like, what was Logano thinking going 5 wide there? Like, there's no way going 5-6 wide into Turn 1 was going to work well. That had disaster written all over it. Like, for a veteran of Logano's caliber, Logano sure does make some dumbass rookie mistakes. Like, that was fucking stupid on Logano's part there. And then the caution came out a few feet later when Eric Jones got loose and then trapped Austin Dillon into the gravel pit, which hit the race to overtime. And then in overtime, it would be a battle between Reddick and Allmendinger. And then Allmendinger had issues in the first turn. Reddick would get away, and then Ross Chastain would then not even make an attempt to go for turn 1 and just take the access road, probably thinking we were still on the oval. And then when Chastain came back up on the access road, he ended up being in second place, while Cindric ended up in third. Blaney got turned by Suarez at the back, and then Chastain initially gets the lead from Reddick. But then a few turns right later, Reddick would get the lead back. And then Reddick, once he got the lead back, he was able to pull away and hold off both Chastain and Austin Cindric. And Tyler Reddick gets his second win of the season. So Reddick wins, and before we say anything about Ross Chastain finishing in second, hold up, we got a penalty. Beep. Because Ross Chastain, NASCAR felt that what Chastain did was a no way Jose move. Because they said Chastain didn't make an attempt to go for turn 1. And instead just decided that turn 1 was optional and just took the access road instead to avoid all the madness. Honestly, it should have been a stop and go penalty right there. Like, Chastain should have at least come to a stop and then go. But since NASCAR felt like Chastain did neither of those two things, NASCAR handed Ross Chastain a 30-second time penalty. Don't worry, they also handed that same penalty to Daniel Suarez and Austin Dillon as well. So that time penalty moves Ross Chastain down to 27th. It also moves Daniel Suarez to 28th, and Austin Dillon to 30th. So with that, it means that Cindric now gets credit with second place. Like, the top 5 is so fucked up. Because Cindric gets second. Harrison Burton gets his first career top 5 finish with a 3rd place run. Todd Gilliland also gets his first top 5 finish with a 4th. And Bubba Wallace rounds out the top 5. Uh-oh. Boomers are going to be pissed about Bubba Wallace getting a top 5 on a road course. Especially with Bubba still getting a top 5 despite the madness from the second last restart. He still somehow got back there. And also, Cole Custer gets his second top 5 finish of the year. That probably won't be enough to maybe save his job at SHR, depending on what happens with Kyle Busch. I know Kyle Busch came out and said that he's willing to swallow his pride and take less money, but I have my doubts on that one, because Kyle Busch swallowing his pride is not the Kyle Busch way. But yeah, that top 5 is so fucked up. Like, you got Reddick, and then you have 3 rookies in the top 5. 2 of them getting their first career top 5 finishes, and then Bubba. Like, yeah, this finish was such a fucking shit show. Like, it was just complete calamity. But yeah, with Tyler Reddick's win, though, it also means one other thing. With Reddick's win, Reddick also has enough points to where he's now clocked into the top 30 in points. So with Reddick getting 2 wins, this means that Tyler Reddick is now officially locked into the chase. Reddick is officially in. So yeah, Reddick gets now his second career win on a season, and what looks like to be a lame duck situation, since we all know Reddick's going to 23-11 in 2024. More than likely to replace Kurt Busch, since it's looking like 2023 is going to be Kurt Busch's final season of the Cup Series. And in terms of RCR's future, I don't know what's in store for RCR's future. Because Reddick was the last glimmer of hope that team had. And he's gone after 2023. So yeah, Reddick, so I think 2023, Reddick, it's either going to be a bad season for Reddick, or he's going to have something similar to what Kevin Harvick had in 2013. But yeah, I'd say watch out for Tyler Reddick, because if everything goes Reddick's way, Reddick could be a championship contender this season. He could be really a dark horse contender for the title, because he's had that good of a season. The points may not reflect it, but he's had a really solid season. So I'd say watch out for Reddick. In this season, it looks like a total crapshoot. But yeah, Reddick could be someone to watch for in the chase. But yeah, Reddick gets his second win of the year. RCR's future's still up in the air, but hey, at least they got Reddick, at least they could have a shot at a championship this year with Reddick. All I say is Reddick's going to be damn dangerous once he gets to 2311 in 2024. Reddick's going to be a damn beast there. But yeah, and that ends the Cup racing at Indianapolis this weekend. And of course, the fan base being divided, everyone wanting the oval race back. How funny. How funny that everybody wants the oval race back once it's gone. It's funny how all of a sudden everybody now cares about the oval race. When literally the last 4 or 5 years that NASCAR's ran on the oval race, nobody gave a damn about it. And for everybody that wants the oval race, here's my question. Are you all actually going to show up? Because these are some shots of the last 4 or 5 years of the Cup race on the oval configuration. And yes, I am well aware that the attendance has not been that good either on the road course. But I did reveal this year's road course attendance numbers for the Indianapolis, and it was exactly on par with the 2019 Brickyard race on the oval when it was the Brickyard 400. So yeah, even on the road course race, it still hasn't solved the attendance problems. People still aren't showing up. It's not really improving it at all. And the ratings, the road course race last year had lower ratings than the oval race the year prior. So ratings haven't fixed it at all. And no, I know I'm not going to say fans in Indianapolis don't give a shit about racing. That's a cop-out. Because if fans truly didn't give a shit about racing, then the Indy 500 want to be selling out 300, 400,000 fans a year, every year. Because the Indy 500 has no problem selling out. But with the Cup race at the Brickyard, it's a different story. Because even with the Brickyard being a quote-unquote crown jewel race, fans still haven't shown up for it. Of course, there's a lot of factors that add into it. You know, the poor marketing, maybe the poor infrastructure, how the track's laid out. The 2008 tire fiasco that made that race a shit show and alienated a lot of fans. You know, the boring racing, the Gen 6 car, the fact that Indianapolis is a one-groove track. There are multiple factors that lie into it. But 100% the attendance issues that Indianapolis had the last few years on the oval have played a factor into it as well. Not the factor, but a factor. So yeah, the question I asked the fans is the same question I asked about everyone that wants the spring race at Bristol to go from the dirt to the asphalt again. Are fans actually going to fucking show up? And another question I have is that if the oval and the road course aren't solving the attendance issues, then why the hell are we still going to Indianapolis in the first place? Seems like a total... if it's not going to improve it, then why the fuck are we still going there? Because of what? Quote-unquote, May tradition? When the fuck has NASCAR cared about tradition the last few years? Let me just put it to you this way. If NASCAR truly gave a shit about tradition, that if they truly cared, then A, the Indianapolis race would still be on the oval today. B, the All-Star race would still be at Charlotte. C, the championship race would still be at Homestead. And D, the 4th of July race would still be the night race at Daytona, if NASCAR truly gave a shit about tradition. Now I know you're going to mention a few other things that NASCAR's kept tradition at. But let's be real. NASCAR's been pretty inconsistent with showing tradition, with sticking with tradition. They're consistent at being inconsistent. So yeah, for Indianapolis, I got really 2 options to show here. Because I know some fans saying that they're willing to try, they want to at least see what the Gen 7 car can do on the oval configuration. See if it produces good or bad racing. And if it's bad racing, they would have no problem with just not going to Indianapolis, period. And it's already been confirmed that they will be running the road course race next year. 2024, that's up in the air. I have really 2 options for 2024 on. Either A, we alternate between both layouts where one year it's the oval and the next year it's the road course. I say alternate between both layouts each year, make both sides of the fence happy. Or B, we just stop going to Indianapolis, period, and just go to IRP, a track that's more built for stock cars. Because the oval has never been built for stock cars. It's not a stock car built track, it's an Indy car built track. Or maybe option C with the road course is, we run the opposite way, and we avoid situations like we had with turn 1 today, where everyone was driving like a bunch of absolute fucking morons. Especially Logano thinking going 5-6 wide in turn 1 was a smart idea, when that idea had disaster written all over it. But hey, at the end of the day, everybody's entitled to their opinions. So yeah, I just thought I'd just lay out mine and my solutions to the problems. I know some other solutions, maybe to make the oval race at the Brickyard maybe mean something, is maybe install lights and run it at night. But that probably wouldn't solve much of the problems. I don't know. The Cup race in Indianapolis raises a lot of questions that will have to be answered in the coming years. Because I have a feeling if they go back to the oval, people are gonna complain again about how fucking boring it was prior to 2021. Because let me show us. Because another reason why we're on the road course is because in 2020. The Xfinity race on the road course outperformed the Cup race on the oval by a country mile. Because the road course race at Xfinity in 2020 was damn good, while the Cup race was so fucking terrible. So there's that factor too. So yeah, a lot of questions that need to be left in, because it seems like with the road course, it isn't fixing much of the issues. Because the attendance is still having issues, because they're averaging probably anywhere from 30 to 60,000 fans at a track that can seat over 300,000. Like for their Indianapolis attendance numbers, if it was a track like maybe a Martinsville or Richmond or even tracks like Kansas or Michigan, it wouldn't be a problem. But this is at a track that seats over 300,000 fucking people. But yeah, definitely Indianapolis has a lot of questions to raise. But that's how we're going to leave it. Like, I honestly feel like a lot of the fans that want the oval race back, they were the same fans that complained about the Cup race on the oval being too boring and saying run the road course. And I know what's going to happen if they go back to the oval. They're going to complain about it again and turn on it again. So, and if no one's going to fucking show up for it, then what's the fucking point? What is the point? I'm just going to leave it there. But anyway, with that being said, let's go ahead and let's take a look at the chase standings after this weekend. So here is the Truck Series chase grid after IRP with 2 races left in the round of 10. So Enfinger's the first driver to lock himself into the next round. Everybody else is in solid good points positions, from Shane Smith all the way down to Chandler Smith. You could even maybe say Ty Majeski's in a solid position, but could possibly do better. But it gets interesting for the 8th and final spot, with Hocevar only in by 7 points, and Crafton and Eckes both 7 points out. So yeah, that's the chase grid after IRP, heading to Richmond in a couple weeks. Looking pretty tied up, but maybe guys like Shane Smith and Ben Rhodes, they could lock himself in on points next week. If everything goes their way and they get enough points. We'll have to see what happens at Richmond in a couple weeks. So here's the Xfinity chase grid standings after Indianapolis, with 6 races left until the Xfinity chase. So all the multiple race winner guys from Ty Gibbs all the way to Austin Hill, those spots are locked in. So half the chase grid is officially locked in. Brandon Jones, he can lock himself in next week as long as there is a repeat winner at Michigan next week, or if we have a Cup or Truck Series driver that wins next week. Or if Brandon Jones just wins Michigan next week, he's in automatically. And then you got Sam Mayer and Riley Herbst. They're pretty good on points at this point. I'm not concerned about either of them missing. Not along with Daniel Hemrick. He's in a good position on points. But Landon Castle and Ryan Sieg are now within a race behind Sheldon Creed, as Creed has now got the gap down to 50 points with 6 races left. So for Sheldon Creed, he's either going to have to win a race, or he's going to have some solid runs and hope guys like Sieg and Castle both struggle. Either or could be a possibility. Like, there's still a lot of racing left to be decided. And Sheldon Creed's had some pretty good runs, so maybe Creed could get a win or maybe catch up on points, but a lot still to be desired for sure. And now to the Cup Series Chase Grid standings. So the top 5 in the Chase Grid are the first 5 to lock themselves in. Denny Hamlin's actually in a position next week to where he could mathematically lock himself in on points in the top 30 at Michigan next week. So Hamlin could potentially punch himself into the chase too. Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell, they're also positions to where they could punch their tickets into the chase on points in the event of 16, 17 different winners. Since right now, the odd man out in that situation would be Kurt Busch on points. And then you got Ryan Blaney, who's 121 to the good, and Mark Truex Jr. 96 to the good. After Kevin Harvick had another struggling day, now being 96 points out. And also, Justin Haley on down have all been mathematically eliminated from chase contention. The only way they can make it in is off a win. So yeah, Justin Haley on down, they're all in must-win positions with 4 races left up to the chase. So that's where the Chase Grid enters and heads entering Michigan next week. So yeah, see you all later from Michigan, and no, I will not be at the race, sadly. Maybe next year. Peace out.